Hello, team. I don't carve my brows. This one is for you. Watch and see how you slay them brows. So for these brows, you're gonna need a spoolie brush. You need a sharp eye pencil. You need a flat angled brush. You need an oil-free concealer or oil-free concealers. You need a good setting powder or a loose powder. Anyone will do, light or dark depending on the person's color. And you need some edge control or brow tamer. Then you also need a powder brush. Anyways, let's begin. So first, I like to scoop the edge control or brow tamer to the back of my arm, and then I take the spoolie brush and take some onto the spoolie brush, and then I rub some onto the eye as well with my finger, and then I go with the spoolie brush and set it in place. Like, you want to make sure you're not too generous and you're not too frugal with your edge control, so you make sure to apply enough, then you use the brush to comb it through, and then use your finger to plaster it down. Then use your spoolie brush to kind of brush it in place like I am doing, because you don't want your brows to be that high. So once you put them in place, they are stuck, like they will stay that same place. So you want to make sure that they are perfectly laid before you start to draw or set or do anything. The next thing I like to do is to apply some setting powder. I like to be a little bit generous with this one because when brows are oily, they do not last the day, so you want to make sure to be a little generous. Now this method doesn't really work for me when I am doing this kind of brow, so I have to do the top upper strokes that you are seeing. I'm not going to do like the normal carving out of brows first. I'm just going to fill in all the areas that need filling, because she already has very full brows. So all I'm doing is filling in all the spots that look like they need filling. And when I'm done with that, I'm going to just make a nice neat line at the top of her brows if it is required. If it is not, you can move on. Before you get to the concealer step, you want to scoop some and put onto your mixing palette so it can set a little bit. It won't be so wet when you come to apply. Now my method for applying concealer on this kind of brows is stamping. As you can see, I'm not dragging anything. I just stamp out the shape that I want the brow to have, and then with that method I now start to bring down the concealer and then blend it onto the eyelid so it doesn't just dry in one spot. I hope you get the gist, sha. I try to use an angled brush because I always use a round brush, but I want people to know that you can use basically any brush so long as it is razor flat. Like, razor flat is not even debatable, it is a requirement. So you want to make sure that your brush is razor flat, and then you take a nice creamy full coverage concealer, because if it is not full coverage, you can practically see the brow hair. In fact, you will see the result on the other brow, because I didn't let my concealer set as well as I let it set for this brow, so there was a little bit of a difference. So yeah, I'm going to take her exact foundation shade or the darker shade of concealer that I had with me, and I'm going to conceal the top of the brows. You guys know I don't typically do this step, but I try to do it for my babes who like to do it as well. You just want to make sure that you draw your brows neatly so that when you come to conceal, all you are doing is tracing your work. Your work will be so much more easier if you've already done it very neatly. So after I am done concealing the top of her brows, I am just going to make sure to blend out all the edges, because you do not want any harsh edges anywhere. And remember, since we're using an oil-free concealer, you want to make sure to blend it before it dries, because once it dries, it will not move. And if you think you are going to use foundation to cover this thing, things can disgrace you. So basically, I'm going to show you the finished look. Tell me what you think. Like, I feel like it is a little obvious if you look really closely, but I feel like when you look a little far away, it is not so obvious. Kindly comment below your favorite step from this look. Comment the new thing that you learned, and remember, if it was helpful, please comment that below and subscribe before you leave.